सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो Hare Krishna. So let's get started for today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurohu Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Damne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Pancha Kalpataru Bhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Abhipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume Madeka Bandho, what is that? Matsangin Madek Bandho Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadhana Man Nistaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute Asadhu Sadhuta Dain Atini Chochataraka Hana Muncha Kadachin Mam Premna Arthakantha Yospura Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, welcome all of you in today's session. So, we'll continue our discussion on Brahmaji's prayers for creative energy. We have seen till verse 10, in which Brahmaji has talked about Lord's transcendental form and also about the aspect of how Lord's devotees, they aspire for the real Purushartha. And he also contrasted them with others, those who don't have any interest in, Lord's service, right? So Brahmaji began by talking about how he has realized now he has got the darshan of this Supreme Lord's form, and it is unfortunate that people don't know the sweetness of this particular form. So if Lord were to say that, well, this form is also Gunatmakam and this is also Adyatanam, recent form, so then he says no, this is actually Shashvat Rupa, also it is transcendental form. Avabodha Rasodayena Shashvan Nivritta Tamasaha. But then between Brahman and this form, which is the original form? Who is the source of who? So that he talks in the verse 3rd, Natah Param Parama Yad Bhavata Swarupam. Actually, this form is the highest, and even impersonal Brahma is emanating, or rather a feature of this particular form, right? But then so many people worship impersonal Brahma. So why is that you want to worship this particular form? You want to meditate on this particular form. So this form offers all the benedictions, Mangalani. And this was the form, Mangalani meaning Purushartha Rupani. And this was the form which manifested in my meditation. So also it shows the merciful nature of Lord's Satchidananda Rupa, which is the missing aspect in Brahman. So that's why I want to worship this particular form which bestows all the Mangalani benedictions, Purusharthas on all the living entities. But Yetu, but for the devotees, pure devotees, the only Purushartha is Lord's lotus feet. So that is said in the verse 5th, that they only desire for the fragrance of Lord's lotus feet. And such pure devotees, they capture the heart within, capture the Lord within their hearts by the Parabhakti. Lord is not able to leave such devotees' heart. So that is the speciality of these devotees who have prema as the only Purushartha. But your devotees also may be engaged in worldly activities like, accumulating money or having a family and, all the worldly
Hare Krishna, there is some technical issue from that side. Prabhuji is sorting it out. It will take maybe a few minutes. It may take 5 to 10 minutes, so if someone wants to chant, they can chant. Someone wants to read, they can read. Others can meditate.
But so, anyways, we'll continue now. So we have seen till verse 10, right? Verse 6 discussed about how that devotees are not samsaris, like that. And then, if this is so, then everybody should take to devotional service. Why is that some people don't take? So that is spoken in the verse 7. Daivena te hatadhiya. Those who have very unfortunate activities which are offensive towards Supreme Lord, because of which they don't accept devotional service. That was spoken in verse 7. So these people work for some very petty material pleasures, being completely turned away from Supreme Lord. So Brahmaji's lamentation for these people is spoken in verse 8. Right? Sampashyato mana purukramasidate me. His lamentation is spoken like that. But then Lord says, if Krishna say, I mean, if the Lord says that this whole material life, samsriti, if it is avastu, if it is insubstantial, then why to worry? So that is answered in verse 9. Actually, although samsriti is insubstantial, till the time one is in samsriti, it is dukkha nivaham vahati. Person undergoes great suffering. And till the time he sees himself as body, that will continue. That samsriti will continue. Right? So if samsriti is there because of ajnana, can one not become liberated only by jnana? That is spoken in verse 10. Just jnana is enough, right? Why do you need bhakti? So actually, without bhakti, even jnanis cannot go beyond this material world. So that was the last verse that we discussed yesterday. Anya pratartha karana. It can mean non-devotees who have no regard for Lord's lotus feet, or it can mean jnanis also. Rushayaupi. So that was discussed. So now we will proceed with verse 11. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita ritsaroja aste shrutekshita patho nanunatha pumsam yad yad dhyata urgaya vibhavayanti tad tad vapuh pranayase sadanugrahaya. Translation, please read. Somebody from Brahmacharis can read.
O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you.
Yes. So it was said that how jnanis also, they cannot cross over this birth and death without having bhakti. If they don't have at least some bhakti, at least in sadhan dasha, and they won't be able to perfect their path. And even in any dasha, sadhan dasha or sadh dasha, whatever it is, but they cannot have disrespect towards the Lord. They cannot think Lord's lotus feet to be mundane. So that was spoken in the last verse. Now exactly opposite point is spoken in terms of that, okay, jnanis cannot perfect even without bhakti, but bhaktas can perfect without jnana. That's the point in this verse. For bhaktas, they don't need jnana. Jnanam vina api samsaram tarishanti. They can cross over this material world even without jnana, like that. So for the bhaktas, they don't have any need of jnana. Of course, we should know this jnana doesn't mean bhakti jnana, bhagavad jnana. This jnana means nirvishesh jnana. There is surely need of bhagavad jnana in bhakti. If that is not there, then one will be doing some whimsical bhakti, which will lead to some utpata. So you know that Srila Jiva Goswami also explains that when we say bhakti doesn't need jnana, it means it doesn't need nirvishesh jnana. It needs tat padartha jnana, it needs tvam padartha jnana. Tat padartha is Krishna's naam, roop, guna, leela, seva. And tvam padartha is jiva's qualities, jiva's limitations, jiva's nature. So this is coming from that tat tvam asi. Tat means Lord, tvam means the jiva. So these two streams of knowledge are very much needed even in bhakti. The last one is where you talk about Brahma Jiva Aikya Jnana, that so-called knowledge of Vedanta, where they talk about oneness. That is not needed in bhakti. So that's the meaning of that Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyanavritam. If you see there in commentaries, very clearly Jiva Goswami establishes this thing that Bhajaniya Tattva Sambandhi Jnanam tu Avashya eva, he says. वो तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, वो नहीं रहेगा. So don't take this jnana to mean that we don't need Bhagavad Jnana also. He says very clearly, tasya avashya apekshniyatvat. Uski to उस ज्ञान की, भक्ति के ज्ञान की तो बहुत अपेक्षा है, वो तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. What is not desired is nirvishesh jnana. So same point is being spoken here, that without jnana bhaktas, without nirvishesh jnana, nirbhed jnana, devotees can cross over the material existence. They don't need this particular knowledge. Jnanam vinapi samsaram nistaranti. That is spoken in this verse. So this is a very popular verse, heavily commented by everyone in Sandarbhas, in Tikas, quite a popular verse. Asse Shrutekshita Patho Nanunatha Pumsa. So what is the verse saying? Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Rit Saroje. Asse, oh Lord, you sit, you upavishya tishtasi. Asse means you are situated. You are sitting, you are residing. Where? In the heart which is Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita. Rit Saroje is the lotus heart. In that lotus heart, Tvam Asse, you are very nicely sitting, residing, peacefully, enjoying. Which heart is Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita, which is filled with bhakti, which is filled with Bhakti Yoga, meaning that heart which has become completely infused with Bhakti Yoga. Paribhavita is that. Prabhupada says 100% engaged, like that. So in such a heart, you reside there permanently. So that heart, which is in this way purified by bhakti, shodhite, Sridhar Swami says, that heart which is completely purified by bhakti yoga, in such a lotus heart, O Lord, you reside permanently. Shrutekshita patho nanunatha pumsam. Actually, your path is Shrutekshita, he says. This is also a very famous term, Shrutekshita patho. Actually, what it means that Shravanena, Shrutam means Shravana here, hearing. Hearing what scriptures? So, Shravanena ikshitaha pantha yasya. That Lord whose path is seen through the ears. That is the meaning of this word. That Lord whose path, the way to achieve him is seen through the ears, like that. So ears, the Shravanam of bona fide scriptures, that is the way to see, to understand the path to achieve that particular Supreme Lord. So he is seen and achieved through the path of Shravanam. That's the point. Shrutekshita patha nanunatha pumsam. So in this way, yad yad dhiyat te urugaya vibhavayanti. So your devotees, by their intelligence, by their consciousness, which is developed from this hearing of Shastra, whichever form they meditate on, yad yad dhiya te urugaya vibhavayanti, means whichever form they meditate on in their sadhan bhakti, they take up to worship of a certain form and they meditate on that form, they serve that form. So form tattad vapuhu pranayase sadanugrahaya. That form, O Lord, you manifest in front of them because you are very eager to bestow your benediction to all the devotees. So devotees, they worship all these different bona fide forms of the Lord by meditating on them. It can mean by serving on them, all the aspects, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And Lord manifests those forms as a reciprocation of the devotee's love, especially when they have achieved the perfection in their worship. So then Lord also manifests that form in front of them. Pranayase, that is the meaning of this verse. So you see, this verse is talking about this particular aspect of how Lord is actually subservient. He is controlled by the devotee's love. He resides permanently in that heart which is infused with bhakti yoga. So Prabhupada begins with that idea. The statement here that the Lord manifests himself before the devotee in the form in which devotee likes to worship him indicates that the Lord becomes subordinate to the desire of the devotee. So much so that the Lord manifests his particular form as the devotee demands. So this is Lord's bhakta vashyatvam is being spoken over here. that by prema bhakti, a devotee, he is able to cause the manifestation of Lord in front of him because of his prema, like that. So that subservience in front, in terms of bhakti yoga, that is spoken in this particular verse. Prabhupada says like that. This demand of the devotee is satisfied by Lord because he is pliable in terms of transcendental loving service. Prabhupada says, but he mentions one line, next line you see. We should note, however, that the Lord is never the order supplier of the devotee. Here in this verse, it is particularly mentioned, Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavit. So this indicates the efficiency achieved through execution of mature devotional service or prema. So very clearly, this verse is talking about prema, the level of devotees, at least that aspect, that Tvam Ase, you reside in the heart of that devotee constantly, permanently. That is talking about the prema bhakti, bhakti yoga paribhavita saroja. In sadhaka's life also Krishna is reciprocating, but for sadhaka we don't say that he's, he's captured within his heart, that devotee's heart, like the way it happens at the level of bhava bhakti or prema bhakti. So Krishna is merciful. He is also reciprocating with devotees who are sadhakas, through guru, through spiritual master, through all the devotees. But for the devotees beyond bhava bhakti, he is personally reciprocating with them. And there is direct reciprocation of Supreme Lord now happening in their life. So that's why Prabhupada says that this is talking about mature devotional service, which is the prema aspect, Prabhupada says. Then further, he says, this state of prema is achieved by gradual process of development from faith to love. So he talks about sadhan bhakti. What is the way to achieve this prema is actually by sadhan bhakti. By sadhan bhakti, you achieve sadhya bhakti, which is another name for bhava or prema, like that. So this whole process of faith to love, Prabhupada says, is actually including proper initiation and execution of primary devotional service. This is clearly indicated by the word Shrutekshita. So that is what is the meaning of Shrutekshita actually. The path of Shravanam is demonstrating that one accepts the path of sadhana bhakti, beginning with the hearing from Guru, hearing from the spiritual master. So, and then he is able to understand about the way to achieve Supreme Lord, and finally he is able to also realize that goal. So, this idea is exactly based on Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who says that Adav Guru Mukhat Shrutah. In the beginning, one hears from Guru. First thing is to hear from Guru. Paschad Ikshitah. Then he is able to see that path. He is able to, by Guru's instructions, he is able to understand that this is the way to achieve the Supreme Lord. And this should be my consciousness. This is my service. This is how I should serve. And finally, he says, Sakshat Kritascha. So by that Shrutekshita, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that all the three aspects are there. You hear, and then you are able to see, understand those instructions. And finally, when you apply them, you are able to also Sakshat Kritascha. You get Sakshatkar of that path. One is able to see that he is able to move from Adav Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti in that fashion. But it all begins with Adav Guru Mukhat Shrutah. So that is that Shrutekshita that he is saying. And what is to be heard? Jiva Goswami says, Bhagavad Pratipadak Veda Vaidaika Shastra Vichar Shravanam. So Prabhupada's next paragraph, next theme is based upon this idea from Srila Jiva Goswami. What is to be heard is the Shrutekshita path is to hear from bona fide devotees who are conversant with Vedic wisdom, free from mundane sentiment. It's very important. He is saying this point that when you say Shrutekshita, what is that Shruta? Shruta is Bhagavad Pratipadak Veda Vaidik Shastra Vichar. ऐसे वेद और वैदिक ग्रंथों का विचार है वो कि जो भगवत प्रतिपादक है, जो भगवान के बारे में बोलते हैं, जो भक्ति के बारे में बोलते हैं, कर्मकांड के ज्ञान कांड के बारे में बोलने वाला नहीं. So that is Shrutekshita. Uh, that Shrutam is where the focus is on bhakti, the focus is on Bhagavan aspect, like that. So all such Vedic scriptures, that is the meaning of Shrutam, he says. And that one hears from Guru and whatever the other representatives of Guru, and by which one is able to understand the path to the Lord, Shrutekshita Pantha. So that is the meaning. So that's why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says very clearly that sadhan bhakti is the way to achieve this prema. One should know that it will not just come just like that on one fine day. No, he says that the path is sadhan bhakti, where we follow Guru's instructions, we apply them in our life, and we dedicate ourselves to the process, and then we are able to one day realize the Supreme Lord, meaning we are able to get sakshatkar of that Supreme Lord. That's the way. So that is the process. Prabhupada in the second para, he says that this attachment of the devotee to a particular form of the Lord is due to natural inclination. So he says that yad yad dhiya, now he is commenting on that yad yad dhiya. So a devotee, he's worshipping a form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then he develops the natural devotion for that particular form of the Lord, and then one is able to, in that way, progress progress on the path of bhakti. He says that just like every jiva has a swarupa, right? So by the gradual process of bhakti, that swarupa is awakened. That is known as swarupa siddhi, like that. By the process of bhakti, slowly, slowly that swarupa gets awakened. So it all begins with sadhana bhakti, and then one is able to also achieve the swarupa siddhi, meaning that particular mellow transcendental relationship that one has with the Supreme Lord. So yad yad dhiya, he is talking about that line. And finally, Prabhupada says, the Lord, however, does not disclose himself to a casual or unauthentic worshipper. This is the almost last part of the purport. So very nice point. His Lord does not disclose himself to a casual or unauthentic worshipper. The bhakti or the understanding of Supreme Lord, the sakshatkar of Supreme Lord, it is not like a very cheap thing. It will not just come by some sort of casual sort of devotional service. No, one has to put himself to the process of bhakti with a great seriousness. And obviously it has to be also authentic. And that is already spoken by that Shrutekshita term. It is not that one whimsically imagines some form of the Lord. Prabhupada says in first canto that the doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism, they are not connected to the Lord. The forms of the Lord that one meditates and one knows how to serve that form, in what way to serve, what is the process of abhidheya, that is not some whimsical thing. What is the prayojan, that is not some whimsical thing. That yad yad dhiya, it is said, whichever form the devotee meditates, but that doesn't mean he meditates on some imaginary form. No, all these forms are exactly based upon shastric descriptions, like that. Kalpanaya nirastastva. Shri Jiva Goswami says in Bhagavad Sandarbha ki isme kalpana nirast hai. Nirast matlab rejected. Imagination is rejected here. So don't take the meaning of that dhiya, he says, as he imagines some form. No, he says that buddhi, that dhi, that intelligence is very much based upon Shastra. Shastriya Shraddha has to be there. That way. श्रुतेन एव लब्धेन बुद्धि विशेषेण. वो विशेष बुद्धि कैसे आती है? धी. That dhi here refers to the specific kind of intelligence to serve the form of the Supreme Lord, to please him. So that he says shrutena eva labdhena. That comes by shruti only. That comes by serving the spiritual master only, and hearing from them and serving their instructions, like that. So That is the point here. So he focuses on those points as Shrutekshita Patha, and also by talking about Dhiya, those aspects. So in this way, then Lord, by one's practice of sadhana bhakti, tattad vapuhu pranayase. So in sadhaka deha, he worships the Supreme Lord, he meditates on him, he renders his service. Sadhak means both Raganuga as well as sadhan bhakti. And pranayase, that line refers to the siddha deha. Lord manifests that form. Pranayase means you manifest, you bring forth that form in front of devotee. So that is referring to the stage where the devotee becomes siddha. So this particular verse is talking about aspect of a sadhaka meditating, worshipping the form of Lord, and Lord manifesting that form when sadhaka becomes siddha. He is able to actually see that form of the Supreme Lord. Lord manifests that particular form. This is not necessarily talking about Leelavataras and all, in which Lord may manifest a form which is like based on the need of that Leela, like some form like Nrsimhadev. Somebody may say, was it that Prahlad was meditating on that Nrsimhadev form and that's why Lord manifested? No, that's not the point here. The point here is about general sadhan bhakti. When he is in his sadhana bhakti, meditating on a certain form, worshipping a form, serving him, cultivating his attachment for that form manifests when the devotee becomes siddha, meaning devotee achieves bhava, and beyond it siddha, like that. So that is the point. In Leelavatar, Lord has his own desires also, by which he manifests a form which is abhutpurva, which is also unprecedented, like that. The devotee may desire it, the devotee may not desire it. The devotee may be meditating on a particular form of the Lord, but Lord also manifests forms which are swechaya, atmechaya, by his own desire, with so many factors, like we see in Narsimha's form. Lord also manifested that form in which he took so many conditions of Brahma and manifested that. So my point is that in Leelavataras, the aspect of Lord's own desire is also there. He does that to reciprocate with his devotee, no doubt about it. And that is surely there. But then, yes, he also has his own Leela, Leela Icha, that the desire for his own pastimes, by which he manifests the forms, like that. So this verse is talking especially about the sadhaka meditating on a certain form and Lord manifesting him in front of that devotee when he perfects his devotional service. So that is the point of this verse. Okay, so that is how this verse glorifies sadhan bhakti. So now he speaks about mixed devotees who are also sort of having material desires, like demigods. So Krishna, this Brahmaji, he speaks about those devotees now. Okay, Nati prasidati आराधितः सुरगणैरधिबद्धकामैः यत्सर्वभूतदयया सदलभ्ययैको नानाजनेष्वहितः सुहृदन्तरात्मा.
My Lord, you are not very much satisfied by the worship of the demigods, who arrange for your worship very pompously with various paraphernalia, but who are full of material hankerings. You are situated in everyone's heart as the Supersoul, just to show your causeless mercy, and you are the eternal well-wisher, but you are unavailable for the non-devotee.
Yes. So this verse now talks about that. Sridhar Swami says it talks about the aspect that how Nishkama devotees, for them Lord is very easy to be achieved, but then for others it is difficult, and Lord is not as much pleased by them as he is pleased by pure devotees. He bestows his mercy on them also, but he is most pleased by the pure devotional service, Uttama Bhakti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that here it is being spoken that in all sorts of devotees, the Nishkam Bhaktas only are the best. As much they please the Lord, the devotees who are mixed devotees, they don't please that much. So Nishkam Bhaktanam eva Sraishtyam, the superiority of Nishkam Bhaktas is being spoken, comparing them with the Sakam Bhaktas, like that. So the verse is talking that same thing. Verse is saying that Nati Prasidati, actually you are not pleased so much by a worship which is Upachitopacharai, very pompous kind of worship with all elaborate paraphernalia, but done by whom? Suraganai Hridibaddha Kamai, but done by mixed devotees like demigods, who are marked by material desires, Hridibaddha Kamai. Their hearts are full of material desires. So you are not very much pleased by such Nati Prasidati. You are pleased somewhat. That's the meaning, basically. Yat sarva bhuta dhayaya asadallabhyaya eko. Yat here means yatha. Just as you are pleased by that bhakti which consists of compassion to all the living entities, sarva bhuta dayaya. So that bhakti which is marked with compassion for all the living entities, asadalabhyaya, and that compassion, that kind of mercy towards other living beings, it will not be there in people who are asat, those people who are non-devotees. So that's how the bhakti which is marked with great compassion for all the conditioned souls, that bhakti which is nishkama bhakti, that just as it pleases you, that much you are not pleased by this worship done by demigods and all that. Nana Janeshva Avahita Suridantaratma. And you are actually Sirid and Antaratma of everybody. Just a second, bro. Just a minute. Today there is too much disturbance due to power shortage and all that. So, okay, fine, no problem. So, yes, this verse is talking about how Lord is not as much pleased by demigods who are mixed devotees, as much he is pleased by his pure devotees, Nishkam Bhaktas. So that is the theme of this verse. So you see, that's how Prabhupada also begins with demigods. He talks about demigods who are in the celestial heavenly planets. They are appointed administrators of material affairs. So they are also devoted to the Lord, but at the same time they have desires for material opulence and sense gratification, like that. So Lord is kind to them, but he is not so much satisfied with them because they are not pure devotees, he says, like that. So because Krishna wants that all his living entities, they don't rot in the material world, they come back to his lotus feet. So although these are devotees only, mixed devotees, but then because they desire to stay in this world, they desire to gain the material opulence and sense gratification. So Lord is not so much pleased by them. That is the point. That Prabhupada says that this makes the Lord dissatisfied with them. That is the point. And then he contrasts pure devotees in the next para. Pure devotees are not, nor are they averse to it. They accept it if it is needed for Lord's service. They are not hankering after it. Having something and hankering for something and having it is a different thing, right? Somebody may not hanker, but then Krishna may provide that particular thing for service's sake, like that. But if somebody is hankering for it, that kind of material desire, that is being contrasted with pure devotees over here. So they don't perform anything for their own personal account. For Lord's sake, they are ready to accept or reject anything, whatever. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Prabhupada gives example of Arjuna, just like Arjuna. He didn't want to fight, but then he fought the war for Krishna because he understood that that is Krishna's desire. Hmm? And then compared to these two are in third para, he talks about non-devotees. So they are neither like demigods, they are nor like pure devotees. They just don't have any regard, any kind of botheration about Lord or his devotional service. So these three categories Prabhupada speaks: demigods, pure devotees, and non-devotees in this way. And then after that, in the last, no, not in the last, in the next para, in which he is beginning with Ye Yathamam Prapadyante, that is all completely based on Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This whole para. He is commenting on how the pure devotees are, they are pararthapara. I mean, they have compassion for others. They are dedicated in their attempts to deliver other living entities. While those who are mixed devotees, sakamas, they are swarthapara. See, these two terms Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written. Sakam people are swarthapara, nishkam people are pararthapara. So exactly based on that, Prabhupada is writing that whole paragraph. Prabhupada is saying that sakam devotees are self-interested, swarthapara, while nishkama devotees, they are pararthapara. And that's why they take the missionary responsibility. So this aspect of the compassion for other living entities, the preaching aspect is glorified here, because that shows the devotee's nature of being compassionate, being dedicated to uplift others this way. So actually this particular aspect of a devotee, the verse is saying that Krishna only bestows that mercy on them by which, they are actually showing that compassion towards other living entities. Surid antaratma, this word you try to see. Surid, Krishna is everyone's benefactor. So, and at the same time, he is antaratma. He is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart. So, what Lord does is, although he himself can deliver all the living entities, and he wants to deliver all the living entities, being the Surat, being the well-wishing friend of everyone, but he bestows this service to his devotees. His devotees, Yashodanartham, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. He gives this power to deliver all the living entities to his devotees. This is his nature, because he wants to glorify his devotees. He loves his devotees. So he bestows that Kripa Shakti on them, so that we can see that, devotees, they go out of the way to deliver the conditioned souls, to share that mercy with all the people of this world, like that. So Krishna takes the form of Antaratma. He becomes that detached Paramatma, but he manifests that nature of Surat through his devotees. Swa Kripa Shaktim Teshu Nidhaya. Vishwanath Chakravarti says, his Kripa Shakti, he invests them in the devotees, infuses them with that Kripa Shakti, so that they can go out and bestow their mercy on all the conditioned souls. So actually Krishna wants to give his devotees fame, like that. Like Lord Chaitanya, he can deliver the whole world. He can give all the conclusions of Shastra, but then he bestowed that responsibility on his disciples, Shad Goswamis. Of course, Lord Chaitanya himself also, in whatever time that he was here manifesting his Leela, he delivered so many people. But then we see that the contribution for the future generations, all the literatures, the great knowledge that is left by the followers of Lord Chaitanya, it has given them such a credit, right? We are all Rupanugas. So we are all so thankful to this entire disciplic succession, Goswamis, and then Baldev Vidyabhushan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the way to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, who has practically made it everywhere, the knowledge available to whole world. So this is Krishna's nature of Surat, actually. He is Kritavadhana, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. He has attention to all the people. He is attentive to the needs of people. But that attention is manifested through his Kripa Shakti, which is flowing through devotees. So this is his nature. So that's why he can never be said to be having any faults of what you can say, Vaishamya and Nairgrinya. He says, see, this is the last line in that para, second last para. By such transcendental activities of Lord, simultaneously becomes free from the charge of partiality and exhibits his pleasure with the devotees. So Krishna, by remaining Antaratma or Paramatma, he shows that he is free from the fault of Vaishamya, partiality, and Nairgrinya, meaning the cruelty or not being bothered about Jiva's suffering. He becomes free from this fault, benedictory nature, through his devotees. See, these are very specific terms actually, where Prabhupada is referring, no, free from charge of partiality. That Vaishamya refers to what? Vaishamya refers to Krishna's aspect as Paramatma. Nairgrinya, cruelty, refers to the aspect of Krishna's, the aspect of Surit, and exhibits his pleasure with the devotees. That refers to the aspect of Bhakta Vatsalya. That is also coming from Surit. So like that, these words are connected. Krishna's particular quality shows, or rather acts in such a way that he is free from all these defects. Vaishamya, Nairgrinya. This is a topic in Vedanta also, famous Vedanta Sutra. Vaishamya Nairgrinyena na sapekshatvat tatha hi darshayati. Krishna doesn't have any partiality. He doesn't have any cruelty. So why do jivas suffer? Sapekshatvat. They suffer because of karma. Sapekshata. There is relativity of their own karma. Tatha hi darshayati. This is what the scriptures speak. This is what the scriptures have told. So this is Krishna's Surititva, meaning Krishna's nature of being Surit, well-wishing friend, and also Krishna's nature of being a detached observer in terms of Paramatma. That way. Finally, if the devotees bestow their mercy on everyone like this, then why is that everyone doesn't become devotee? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur raises that doubt. And Prabhupada also raises that question in his last para. Question arises like that. So everyone becomes devotees because, yes, although devotees are ready to bestow mercy on everyone, but it is like, you may sow a seed in some land which is saline and alkaline, barren land, Ushara Kshara, that kind of bhumi. But then, if it is saline, alkaline kind of land, filled of all the salts, then we will see that nothing will grow there. So same way, devotees are ready to bestow all the mercy on everyone. But then we see that the heart also has to be fertile. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the example of somebody like Daksha. Although Narad Muni wanted to bestow mercy upon, he had bestowed mercy upon his sons, and it was actually great favor. But then still, he became very offensive towards Narad Muni. Like that. So at least for some time we see that then he couldn't take mercy of, couldn't accept or get benefited from mercy of Narad Muni. So that is the point. So this is how this verse talks about. Okay, I will take some 1 or 2 verses and then give a break for 7 minutes because we already began little late. So one more verse which talks about the various kinds of devotees. You can say that, yes, demigods are mixed devotees. The verse prior that spoke about the devotees who are pure devotees. And this verse talks about devotees who do karma arpanam. So that is the verse 13. So let us see this. After verse 14th, then he just offers obeisances. So then there is not much commentary over there. So just 1 or 2 verses maybe. More discussion, but then after that, this discussion will go a little fast now. Okay, these are this verse, and then 16th verse, there is some discussion, primary. Other things are like, okay. Okay, Pumsa mato vividha karma bhiradvaradyai danen chograta pasa paricharya yacha aradhanam bhagavatas tava satriyartho dharmorpitah karhichid mriyate na yatra. Okay, translation. Yes, Prabhu. Translation.
But the
Someone
pious
can do.
activities of the people, such as performance of Vedic rituals, charity, austere penances, and transcendental service, performed with a view to worship you and satisfy you by offering you the fruitive results, are also beneficial. Such acts of religion never go in vain.
Yes. So what is the akshep over here? Huh? What is the point of this verse? This verse is saying that, see, Nishkam Bhaktas are only the highest, right? Lord is not so much pleased by those who are having those material desires. Of course, those who are trying to give up the material desires, uh, very sincerely they are trying, they are also on the path of Nishkama Bhakti. So that's why that is also pleasing. What is condemned is the attachment to the desires. I mean, where one very consciously cultivates, gets a great delight in cultivating spiritual desires. But one, like sadhakas, if the ideal is Uttama Bhakti, where one wants to come to that level, Anyabhilashita Shunyam. So then that is something which is also pleasing to the Supreme Lord. So one is either on the path of Nishkamata or one is Nishkam devotee. That pleases the Lord very much, like that. But then not everybody may accept this kind of ideal. So if they have this ideal where they want to perform Vedic sacrifices, rituals and all that, and do some little bit bhakti also. So even in that case, the verse is saying, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, activities also should be offered to the Lord. Best is to offer them without material desires. See, attachment for particular karma or attachment for aspect of jnana may be there, but then point is that also one can do as karmarpanam, that one offers it, the fruits of those activities to Krishna. So then that is also perfection that way. So in all the activities, let it be bhakti, which is Shuddha bhakti, or let it be karmarpanam only, where one has some bhakti and he is primarily attached to his work, he is continuing his work. But then that should also be offered as much as possible without any desires for fruits. This is basically Bhagavad Arpit Nishkam Karma Yoga. If you have seen that in Bhagavad Gita, that's what he's talking about, like that. So this is the point, that even in activities such as this, which may not be first class pure devotional service, but then you offer the fruits of that particular action for Krishna's pleasure without any desire to the attachment of that particular fruits. So that is the point. Vedic rituals and all that. So verse is saying, Vivid karma bhir advaradhyai. So persons may offer the various kinds of activities, various kinds of sacrifices, charity, tapasya and all that. So if they are doing Supreme Lord's worship along with these activities, along with these components also, so that will also not go in vain. Karhichid mriyate na yatra. That will also not die, that will not also be useless. Provided aradhanam bhagavata. Provided that is also done with the bhav of pleasing the Lord. Let Krishna arpanam astu. Let this activity of mine be for the pleasure of Krishna. Like that. As much as possible with that attitude if one wants to offer. Of course, such people who want to do karmarpanam, if you tell them to do activities of bhakti, they may not do it. They may not want to chant the rounds and all that. They are attached to their work, particular work. But then they say that whatever this work is there, let me offer it to Krishna, let it please the Supreme Lord. And they may not be so much attached also to the fruits of that work. Like some people come and give some service to temple. That's it. And then they are not waiting there for getting some glorification or something like that. No, they just offered it to the Supreme Lord. Krishna also says this aspect in 12th of Bhagavad Gita, right from Mayeva mana adhastva mayi buddhim niveshaya. He goes on step by step. So one of the rung there is also this, where Krishna says, okay, mat karma paramo bhava, at least do some, offer that activity for my pleasure. Offer it for my pleasure, that way. So in Vedic life, there will be many people who are attached to aspect of karma kand, attached to aspect of jnana and all that, tapasya and all that. They may not do kevala bhakti, as it is understood. So although they may not do kevala bhakti, in those aspects, if they offer it to the Supreme Lord, so then that is perfection. That will not go in vain. That will also take them closer to the Supreme Lord slowly, slowly, where one day they will also come to the platform of that kevala bhakti. For those of you who are interested, this discussion is also based upon what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has spoken in his Bhagavad Gita commentary on Chaturvidha Bhajante Mam. There are three kinds of devotional service: Guni Bhuta Bhakti, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, and Kevala Bhakti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that this verse is talking about even if somebody is not following Kevala Bhakti, he is following Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti only or Guni Bhuta Bhakti only. Meaning, with Bhakti, some aspect of Bhakti is there and these other aspects are also there. That is also okay, provided one is offering the fruits of the action for Krishna, for the Supreme Lord, without any attachment to those fruits. Then he may do those Guni Bhuta or Pradhani Bhuta kind of Bhakti. So anyway, if that discussion was not very relevant so for you, then you can leave it. But for those of you who are interested, you can see that section. It's there in Sarat Varshini 7.16. Yeah. Okay. So Prabhupada is talking about, in the beginning, he says, absolute devotional service conducted in 9 different spiritual activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam and all that, does not always appeal to people with a pompous nature. So very clearly he is saying, Kevala Bhakti does not appeal to some people. Rather, they are more attracted by Vedic sacrificial rituals and other costly performance. But then, if the fruits of all such activities, they are offered to Supreme Lord, that is also fine, Prabhupada says. So, see, Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti means you do the activities of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. That is the primary thing. Along with that, one may do other activities like earning his living and all that. That is okay. But Kevala Bhakti means focus is on activities of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. But these other people's, their focus is on other aspects like Vedic sacrifices or tapasya or all these things. So in such cases, at least what is spoken is fruits of such activities are offered to the Supreme Lord. That's it. That is the point. Then these may come also slowly to devotional service. See, Prabhupada says anything, this is last part of purport, anything done on account of the Lord is a permanent asset and accumulates in the form of unseen piety for gradual promotion to unalloyed devotional service. Okay, so that is the point here, that at least they should do that karmarpanam to the Supreme Lord, even if they may not perform the first class Kevala Bhakti. That is the point. Okay. So now from here onwards, he starts offering obeisances to that Lord. His main philosophical points are over now in this particular section. Now he offers obeisances to various aspects of Supreme Lord, like Kala, like Gunavatara, like all this. So we'll see this. You can take a break for 7 minutes and then we will continue. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, yes, so we will proceed. So what I'll do is, we already lost 15 minutes due to that connection. So I will continue till 1 o'clock, till 1. And then if there are any questions which are there in chat, or if you wish to ask, you may stay back. For others who have service can anyways proceed, no problem. So I won't take question at this point now. I'll take only at 1 o'clock. Text 14 now. Okay, so now obeisances to different features of the Lord will begin from here. We'll go on up to 21, verse 21, and then last 4 verses, he'll ask for some certain benedictions from Supreme Lord. Okay, so let us see this. Text 14. Shashvat Swarupa Mahasaiva Nipita Bheda Mohaya Bodha Dishanaya Namah Parasmai Vishvodbhava Sthiti Lageshu Nimitta Leela Rasayate Namaidam Chakrameshwaraya.
Let me offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Transcendence, who is eternally distinguished by his internal potency. His indistinguishable impersonal feature is realized by intelligence for self-realization. I offer my obeisances unto him, who by his pastimes enjoys the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation.
Yes. So, in this way, talking about devotees who are nishkamas and who are sakamas, comparing the form of the Lord with Brahman, so showing its superiority and everything, then Brahma comes back to offering his obeisances. You remember he had offered obeisances in that verse, Tadva Bhuvana Mangala, Mangalaya. And then he talked about many different aspects in the middle verses, right? And now he continues from where he left off, in the sense of he offers obeisances to Lord, to that form of the Lord and all his other features. And this is like offering obeisances and asking for benediction, concluding this way, like that. But of course, he offers obeisances in many verses, so that's how it's just 14th verse. But that is the point, that he is now beginning to offer his obeisances. Okay. So, Shashvat Swarupa Mahaseva Nipita Bheda Mohaya. Jiva Goswami tells that what it means is that Nipita Bheda Mohaya, that just by Lord's internal potency, by his transcendental form, as Prabhupada writes, Shashvat Swarupa Mahasa. Mahasa here means Shakti. By his Swarup Shakti only, he defeats, he destroys this mistaken idea that there is no difference between Jiva and Lord. Nipita Bheda Mohaya. जो मोह है इस भेद के बारे में, क्या कि जीव में और ईश्वर में कुछ भेद नहीं है, ये जो मोह है ना, निपीत, it is दूरीकृतम, it is finished. Nipita literally means it is drunk, it is nisheshena pitam, it's finished off. His form being transcendental, he defeats this idea that there is no difference between Jiva and Ishwar, because obviously his form is made up of Swarup Shakti, while the Jiva's form is made up of Maya Shakti. Jiva meaning living entity in the material world, we are talking about. So, by his great Shashvat Swarupa, he defeats, finishes off this so-called illusion of thinking that Lord and living entity are not different. Bodha Dhishanaya Namah Parasme. And his impersonal form can be realized by self-realized intelligence. Bodha Dhishanaya. Dhi ke dwara, buddhi ke dwara, one can realize that form, which is the impersonal form. Prabhupada also writes that this form, impersonal feature, is realized by intelligence for self-realization. So that is Bodha Dhishanaya. Or Bodha Dhishanaya can also mean, Jiva Goswami says that it means he is the abode of all wisdom. Lord is abode of all wisdom. He is not like Jivas who have so much of adnyan, ignorance within them. No. So this way, Bodha Dhishanaya. Age, the next thing, he says, Vishwod bhavasthiti layeshu nimitta leela. And you are actually, for the cause of this world's creation, maintenance, destruction, nimitta leela rasaya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives interesting meaning. He says that you are doing ras leela with your external energy. By in this creation, maintenance, destruction, it is like you are glancing on your material energy, and that way it is like nimitta leela rasaya. आपका रास चल रहा है, but with whom now? It is with your nimitta leela, meaning your material energy. Lord glances on her, and then the whole creation and all that takes place, right? So from that angle, he is saying that you are actually also having your pastime srishti leela with your material energy, nimitta leela rasaya. Or it can, he splits the word nimitta and leela rasaya. So nimitta means our meaning creation, maintenance, destruction, and he just takes the word as leela rasaya. So leela rasaya then refers to Sri Krishna, where he is the one who dances, who does ras leela with the gopis. So you are that Lord who performs wonderful pastimes with your beloved gopis. So that meaning also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives. In this way, I offer my obeisances unto you. Idam chakrume ishwaraya. I offer my obeisances unto you. So you see in proper purport, all these points are repeated as it is. Very clearly you will know who is, what he is referring to. First, Supreme Lord is eternally distinguished from living entities by his internal potency. Straight away it is from Jiva Goswami, where he says that Nipita Bheda Bodha. Nipita Bheda, what's the line? Nipita Bheda Mohaya. Yeah. So that's from Srila Jiva Goswami's comment. Then he says, in that same line, next aspect, although he is also understood in his impersonal feature by self-realized intelligence. This is Bodha Dhishanaya. And this is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Then he explains the word rasa. And you see, he is giving both the aspect of rasa. Garbhodakshai Vishnu in his Rasa Leela with the material external potency, and Krishna, Prabhupada brings out both the meaning. So he is taking that from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very clearly, referring to the word Leela Rasaya, Nimitta Leela Rasaya, that way. So he says that you can see, he quotes Garbhodakshai Vishnu and he also quotes Krishna. He also speaks about Krishna, who is in ever engaged in Rasa Leela with his gopis. And he quotes Gopal Tapani Upanishad for this. Parardhante so buddhyat gopavesho me purushaha ustad avir babhuva. Gopal Tapani Upanishad says that Parardhante, Brahmaji is saying that after Parardha was completed, meaning after 50 years of my life were over, this is not Brahma saying, sorry, Gopal Tapani Upanishad, this is another personality speaking, in which it is said, Saha abudhyat gopavesho me. After 50 years of my life were over, then what happened? Me purastad, in front of me appeared that Purusha who was Gopavesha, who was that Gopal. So actually, what the point is that here you must have seen in the last chapter also, and there was that word Kama Dughangri Padmam, that Krishna, the Lord showed only one foot, and that is explained by acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti as that Lord also showed Krishna Rupa to Brahmaji in this particular revelation that he has given in his heart. He has also revealed him his Krishna Rupa. So that same thing is being spoken here from quoting from Gopal Tapani Upanishad. That because this particular incident is happening after one Parardha is over. This is happening in 51st years, first early morning when Brahmaji is waking up after 50 years of his life, the last day. And that is also over. The night is over and the morning, the next day is coming, which is 51st year's day. So that is when this is happening. So that's why that is quoted, Parardhante so buddhyat. Okay. So anyway, this discussion is there in 11th chapter also. We will see. Fine. Finally, Prabhupada says, distinction between Lord and living entity is definitely experienced when there is sufficient intelligence to understand his internal potency. So those who are wise, they will easily understand that Lord and living entity are not the same, in the sense they are not absolutely same. It's not Kevala Advaita. It is not Kevala Advaita. It is Achintya Bhedabheda. So that is the point. So this is how he offers his obeisances to Lord, who is having this transcendental form and also having the impersonal effulgence. Okay. Now he offers his obeisances to his holy names. Lord's feature as holy name, right? Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, like that. So now he offers his obeisances to his holy names. 15. Yasya avatara guna karma vidambanani namani yesu vigame vivasha grananti enaika janma shamalam sahasaiva hitva samyanti pavratamritam damajam prapadye. Translation.
Let me take shelter of the lotus feet of him, whose incarnations, qualities and activities are mysterious, imitations of worldly affairs. One who invokes his transcendental names, even unconsciously at the time he quits this life, is certainly washed immediately of sins of many, many births and attains him without fail.
Yes. So, aham prapadye. See, my surrender, Brahmaji says, my surrender is unto that Lord who is Namani Yesu Vigame Vivasha Grananti. Actually, one whose holy names, they are also equally potent like his activities. Yasyavatar Guna Karma Vidambanani. We'll see that line, what it means. Basically, it means that, it means many things. Yasyavatar Guna Karma Vidambanani has 4-5 meanings. So Prabhupada takes the meaning that Lord follows the ways of worldly people when he performs his guna karma in this world. Right? He does makhan chori and he does sports. He enjoys dancing and all that. So he follows the ways of people of this world. So that is Yasya Avatara Guna Karma Vidambanani. So the names glorifying such activities, qualities of the Lord, ye asuvigame vivasha grananti. Even if jivas, when their life years are being taken away, asuvigame, aap samajh rahe ho, when their asus life years are going away, vivasha grananti, they somehow helplessly chant these holy names. Even by that, anaika janma shamalam sahasaiva hitva, they are able to destroy the great contamination of so many lives. And samyanti apavrita amritam tamajam prapad. And they are able to achieve the immortality, meaning they are able to achieve, they get freed from all the sins and they are able to attain that Supreme Lord. Tamajam prapadde. So this is basically referring to Lord's potency of Lord's holy name, right? Like even if somehow in a helpless condition, if one is able to chant it on a namabhas level also, then one will be delivered from all the sins and one will be offered opportunity to attain the Supreme Lord. So that is the point. So this topic is very greatly detailed, explained in 6th Canto, Ajamila Upakhyan, right? There is, on this aspect, Vishwanath Chakravarti has given 12 pages purport, 10 pages purport actually. Very, very huge commentary he has written on what sort of holy name actually bestows, even though chanted vivash, even though chanted helplessly, it bestows that perfection on the jivas. So anyway, that discussion will not take here, but point is that, yes, by even namabhas, which is chanted due to being vivasha, the living entities are able to destroy the sins of their many, many lives and they are able to attain him. So one who has such powerful holy names, I take shelter of him. That is my surrender. That is my shelter. He says that. Brahmaji is doing Vigyapan, Vijnapayati. He is announcing his own surrender to personal form of Lord. Because this is that Lord. You see his kripa, his Kripa Ishwaryam, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that even if somebody is, because of helplessness, he is taking his holy name without offenses, without any aparad, at least on the Namabhas. So such person is also being bestowed with such great mercy by him, although he chanted, so to say, in a vivash manner, not like exactly that he was a great Kevala Bhakta and out of love he chanted or like that. Typical example like Ajamila. Anyway, so that is the glory of such a Lord. Who else is to be taken shelter? That is what his feeling is, that actually he's so merciful. His holy names are so merciful in this way. So purport, Prabhupada says, activities of incarnations of Supreme Personality of Godhead are a kind of imitation of activities going on in the material world. He's just like an actor on a stage. So this is referring to Yasyavatara Guna Karma Vidambanani, isn't it? So it is true that Krishna, when he acts in this world, he acts in a way that how common people also, like his activities with Mother Yashoda, he's stealing the butter, or he's hiding, he's running around, he's pleasing his devotees by lifting Govardhan Hill. Of course, lifting Govardhan Hill is very extraordinary. But point is, he wants to please his devotees. He can, Prabhupada says in purport that he can even lift Govardhan Hill just by his desire. But still he lifts as if a common man lifts. He lifts with his left hand, and then, wants to show that, okay, see, I lifted, it is on my left hand, that way, like a common man, But of course, there is at the same time uncommonness in that, right? Because who can do these activities? At the same time, he exhibits supernatural power. But there is Manusha Leela, that anyone will agree that, right? Krishna's pastimes, Lord's pastimes in this world, there is Manusha Leela is there. They are very much like how the beings of this world also act. So that is the meaning of avatar, yasya avatar guna karma vidambanani. Or it can also mean that yasya avatar guna karma vidambanani namani means that his holy names are also equally powerful like his avatar, like his guna, like his karma. Tat tulya shaktini. That is what Jiva Goswami gives the meaning. Meaning that Lord's holy names are also equally powerful like avatar, guna, karma, and all that. Another meaning Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives is that actually vidambana matlab upahas, mockery. So he says that Yasavatara Guna Karma Vidambanani Namani. Actually, the names of Lord like Govinda, Damodar, when they are given to living entities of this world, it is like a Vidambanam, he says. It is like making mockery of that name. Prabhupada says also, right? Somebody is blind and he is given the name as Rajiva Lochana. What Rajiva Lochana? Eyes like, lotus petals. And this fellow is blind only, But name is Rajiva Lochana, like that. So same way Prabhupada means Vishwanath Chakravarti says, sometimes these names are given to some living entities in this world. He says, Swaputra Bhratra Adi Jeev Vishwachakatva. कभी कभी ये नाम वाचक बन जाते हैं, नाम बन जाते हैं किसके? इस जगत के जीवों के. And then he says it is like vidambanam. It is like upahas, mockery of Lord's names. Of course, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't give these names to, whatever, our children, relatives. We should. That is fine. But he's talking on a lighter note, he's saying that it is actually upahas. It is like vidambanam because fine. When you give it to that name to a jiva, it is like a vidambanam because jiva is so paltry and hardly having any strength of anything. So that is also Yasyavatara Guna Karma Vidambanani. So many different meanings you can see that he is giving like that. So the point here is that this is the potency of Lord's holy name. So who will not take shelter of such holy names? Such Supreme Lord, I take shelter of such Supreme Lord. Brahma says, this is my shelter, this is my surrender, like that. Tam ajam prapadye, and I take shelter of this. So this way. So Prabhupada has written all these points in his purport also. He's quoting all this names like Girivardhari, names like Govinda, Damodar, and all that. And these are all imitations like this world's actors. So that is Prabhupada's theme throughout the purport. Prabhupada is saying. But at the same time, one should know that all these activities, Krishna shows his supernatural power also. So, Viruddha Samanyam Tasminna Chitram, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that is Krishna's characteristic actually. Tattva Sutra says that Viruddha Samanyam, in Krishna's activities, there is contradictory qualities. Krishna simultaneously shows a great supernatural power, but does it in a way that it appears like ordinary child. Very, and this is especially true in Vraj Leela. Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Vraj Leela. Although he kills big demons, which is like impossible, but he does it so effortlessly. And that Brajvasis don't believe only that he has done it. It's impossible. They feel like that. So he doesn't manifest his Aishwarya that way. So Viruddha Samanyam Tasminna Chitram. You can see contradictory qualities in him, simultaneously supernatural behavior, but also showing like imitation of worldly men. Na Chitram. It is not a surprising thing in Krishna, because Krishna is very full of contradictory qualities and transcendentally contradictory qualities that way. So Prabhupada quotes finally Ajamil also. So that is the point. Fine. So now he goes ahead and he talks about Lord's feature also as Vishwarupa, his expansion in terms of the universe. So that is the next verse. Yova ahancha girishascha vibho swayancha sthityudbhava pralaya hetava atma moolam bhitva tripadava vruddha eka urupraroha tasmai namo bhagavate bhuvanadrumaya.
Your
Yes.
Lordship is the prime root of the tree of the planetary systems. This tree has grown by first penetrating the material nature in three trunks, as me, Shiva, and you, the Almighty, for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And we three have grown into with many branches. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you, the tree of the cosmic manifestation.
Yes. So now he offers obeisances to the aspect of especially Vishwarupa, like that. So text 16, the one which we are seeing, Srila Siddha Swami says that Gunavatara Karmani Darshayan Pranamati. He offers obeisances showing the functions of the Gunavataras. That's the theme in this verse. Or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that what Supreme Lord does here is, what Brahmaji does here is, he actually offers obeisances to the Vishwarupa aspect of the Lord. He wants to show that not only I, but even all the other elements and everything comes from Supreme Lord. All the Gunavataras also come from him. And that's why I also offer my obeisances, Shiva also offers obeisances unto him, that Supreme Lord. So this is his point. 2 points basically. One is that he is root of all the Gunavataras, and second is also that he is the one who expands into the universe through his energy. That is the point which is there in this verse. So let us see. Yova aham cha girishascha vibhu swayam cha sthiti udbhava pralaya hetavah atma moolam. So Supreme Lord, he is atma moolam, meaning he himself is the root of whom? He is the root of me, Girisha, Shiva, and Vibhu Swayam, that is Vishnu. Who are these three? These three are Gunavataras. So Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the root of all the three Gunavataras. We saw that in the prior verse also. Adav, that Adav Shataik Avatara Bijam. That way. So he says that he himself is the root of all of us. Sthiti Udbhava Pralaya Hetavaha. By putting Vibhu as Swayam, he shows that Lord Vishnu as Gunavatar is not like us. He is actually Swayam only, meaning Garbhodakshayi Vishnu and Kshirodakshayi, they are non-different only. But I, Girish, and Vibhu, we are the causes of, we are the in charges of creation, maintenance, destruction. And he This Supreme Lord, Garbhodaksha, is Atma Moolam. He himself is the root of all. Bhitva Tripad Vavrudhe Eka Uru Praroha Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Bhagavate Bhuvanadrumaya. Like that. And then he says that what has happened, first of all, he himself has, expanded in these three Gunavataras, like that. Three Shakhas, which is myself, Supreme Lord Vishnu, and also Girisha. Tripath. This is called as Tripath, meaning three Shakhas, three branches. And from there, Urupraroha. From there, the great expansion of this universe has happened in terms of other branches like Marichi and all those. Marichi and further Prajapatis and all that stuff, Urupraroha. That whole big expansion has happened from us, meaning especially Brahmaji and all like that. Or for the sake of Samhar, Rudra and all those aspects. So we three are the main branches, and then further it is all Urupraroha. Then the further expansion is there in terms of Marichi, Prajapatis, and then their descendants, Manu and all the Manavas and all the species and everything. Tasmaya Namo Bhagavate Bhuvanadrumaya. So this is the Supreme Lord who is actually himself only in this way, by his energy has expanded everywhere. That is the meaning that is coming from the verse. But in purport, Prabhupada brings up different meaning of Tripada. This is how Prabhupada is like amazing. In meaning of Tripad and that Urupraroha as Shiva and these three personalities being branches and others being into Urupraroha means basically the whole Marichi and all that. But in purport, he begins with a different understanding of Tripath. Now he says Tripath here means that first Lord, made his material energy into three planetary systems, which is Bhubhuva Swaha, like that. So that is Tripath here now. And Urupraroha means then those three he made it into 14, like that. You see? So this is how he's changed the. In purport, he has brought a different meaning of Tripada because both the meanings are given by Vishwanath Chakravarti. So Prabhupada in purport is giving one meaning and in translation giving another meaning. Okay. So that Tripath refers to the three worlds in the first two lines of purport, you can see. And the 14 planetary systems refers to the Urupraroha. This is how that can be understood. Okay, and then we see that Prabhupada also speaks about further the aspect of how Lord expands himself into three, Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. So now this is Tripath's, that first meaning which came in the verse, like that. If you are getting too much confused or like that, don't worry, just leave it, like that. But point is that yes, three branches, Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. These are Tripath. And then that they themselves expand into other personalities like Marichi and all of them. So that Prabhupada has clearly written in his commentary, you can see. Lord then expands into secondary agents as Manu, Marichi and the great sages and all of them. So this whole great creation in this way is coming from that root, which is the Supreme Lord, that way. So that's why I worship Brahmaji says that particular Supreme Lord. This is the problem. This is the point. And then that's why Prabhupada says this polytheism, where people feel like there are many, many gods, is an ill-conceived idea. See, this particular point he's speaking in first paragraph's last section. He says, God is one without a second. Before that, conception of many gods controlling many departments of material nature is ill-conceived. So this is polytheism. This is there in some of the Greek philosophies or Roman philosophy and all that, where they feel like each one of these deities is equally powerful and competing with each other. But Vedic life is not like that, right? Although there are these many, many deities, but there is Supreme Lord who is the chief of all of them. So it is in that way, multi-level monotheism, like that. The scholarly people write to that. So It is many people in his service of Supreme Lord. But it is monotheism, meaning the Supreme Lord is one, which is Krishna, like that. Fine. Finally, Prabhupada in the second para also talks about this is why everything is personal, Prabhupada says. You see all the deities, they are the in charges of these various universal factors, and that's why nothing is impersonal. This world is not running by some impersonal energy, forces of physics. No, it is running by the personalities. So Prabhupada is saying that one should understand this thing. Everything is personal and nothing is impersonal, like that. He brings up that interesting example of reflection of water. So Prabhupada says if the spiritual world has personalities, if spiritual material world has personalities, forms, variety, then how has it come in the material world? So we can easily understand that material world is considered reflection. So these aspects of form, personality, individuality also should be there in the absolute truth. How do you say that absolute truth is Brahman without any diversity, without any form, without any variety? So that is the logic which Prabhupada is giving. So because the variety is there in spiritual world, so it is there in the material world. Shadow of that original tree. And root is the Lord, whether for real tree or false tree. Prabhupada finally says, last line, second last, that the root is the Lord. Material world is perverted reflection of real tree. So this is a big problem for impersonalists, especially those who don't accept so Supreme Lord's form is truth. So Mayavadis and all, they can't explain why the Brahma has to be devoid of variety. And if it is devoid of variety, then why in material world so many forms, attributes, relationships? Where do they come from? That which is not there in the source, how it will come in the effect, cause and effect principle. So that is the point. Okay. So now he offers obeisances to his Kala Rupa. So this is 17. Loko vikarmani ratah kushale pramatta karmanyayam twadudite bhavadarchane sve yasta vadasya balavani hajivitasham Sadyashinatya nimishaya namostu tasmai. Yes. Please read.
People in general all engage in foolish acts, not in the really beneficial activities enunciated directly by you for their guidance. As long as their tendency for foolish work remains powerful, all their plans in the struggle for existence will be cut to pieces. I therefore offer my obeisance unto him who acts as eternal time.
Yeah, so now he is offering his obeisances to the time aspect. This is all obeisances section, like that. So after he speaking about Lord manifesting his energy in terms of 14 planets and 3 planetary systems, so that is like Vishwarupa aspect is glorified. Now Kala Rupa aspect is glorified, which controls the whole universe, like that. So he says, now this Kala, Tavad, till the time, he says, till the time Balvan iha jivitasham sadhya chinatti. Actually, your Kala finishes off even the desire to live. It finishes off the life of people immediately, meaning Kala destroys everything till the time they take to your devotional service. That is spoken in the first 2 charnas of the verse. Loko vikarma niratah kushale pramattah कर्मणि आयम त्वदुते भवदर्शने स्वे. जब तक वो आपके अर्चन में, भवदर्शन में लगते नहीं है, उसके बारे में प्रमत्त है, they are bewildered, they don't understand that they should be engaged in your archanam. Archanam meaning here worshipping, meaning serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It can mean everything, archanam, shravanam, Vishnu. Archan doesn't mean only deity worship here. Okay. So, Bhavadarchane, worshipping the Supreme Lord, Unless and until people who are typically engaged in some materialistic activities, vikarma nirataha, they, if they remain bewildered in their own activities and don't take to worshipping you, then what is going to happen? The time is going to surely destroy them, is going to take away their even desire to live, meaning time will act as a destroyer. Only when they take to your devotional service, your worship, then the time's influence will stop in terms of, meaning they will be able to conquer birth and death. They are dying for the last time now, last life. Once they achieve perfection, then there is no repeated coming down to the influence of time. That is the point. So they have to take to your bhavadarchana. That is the point in this verse. They can't remain pramatta. They can't remain mad so much after sense enjoyment that they never took to your bhavadarchana, your worship. देन समय तो फिर बलवान है, उनकी जीवित आशा खत्म करके रहेगा. That is what he is saying. So that is the power of time, like that. So Prabhupada says in purport, people in general are all engaged in senseless work, vikarma nirataha. They are systematically unmindful of real beneficial work. So very clearly they are pramattah. Kisme bhavadarchane, technically called the archana regulations. So Prabhupada says these archanas have talked in Narad Pancharatra and all other places, like that. So especially how to worship Supreme Lord by the archana vidhi is spoken over here. But the section is referring to Bhagavat vidhi completely, Bhagavat vidhi as well as archana. Both. Vishwanath says very clearly that thing, that when it says Bhavad Archane here, it is meaning Bhagavat vidhi, which also has archanam as one of it, like that. Okay. So, because these people are bewildered about real beneficial work, that is bhakti, so they don't take to this Bhagavata Vidhi. And that's how they are frustrated by time in their desires. So, such is the power of time. Brahmaji says, I offer my obeisances unto that time, like that. So, how people don't understand their real benefit, Prabhupada quotes Matirna Krishna Paratah Satova. Especially Nate Viduhu Swartha Gatim Hi Vishnu, that aspect Prabhupada quotes. So in this way, we see that people don't understand what is their beneficial thing and they are frustrated by time in their attempts. This way. Finally, Prabhupada says, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asks everyone to give up all occupational duties and absolutely engage in archana activities in pleasing the Lord or in pleasing the Lord. So here archana means pleasing the Lord. Archanam, Shravanam, Smaranam, everything like that, So context has to be understood sometimes, otherwise we may just take one particular meaning, like that. The context here being spoken is of the Bhagavat Vidhi as the panacea for all the maladies, for all the suffering of the living entities. So that's why one should take to the process of bhakti, Bhagavat Vidhi, which has all these aspects of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, in that sense, like that. Yes. Finally, Prabhupada says systems of jnana and yoga, they are also indirectly rebellious acts against the Lord. Very strong statement, right? If somebody were to say, what is the need of archana? What is the need of smarana? We will do jnana and yoga. So then Vishwanath says, no. Point here is tvad udite. Tvad udite. You should worship the Lord in the way He asks you to worship. भगवान ने कैसे बोला है उनको वर्शिप करने के लिए? सीधा बोला है उन्होंने नारद पंचरात्र में या भागवत में या अन्यत्र जो भी many verses are quoted in support of how Lord only gives the method by which to worship Him. So that's why Prabhupada says Jnana and Yoga are not considered very bona fide ways of pleasing worship of the Lord. There are some, yes, there are also paths bona fide, but main thing is the way you want to please the Lord is by how He wants you to please Him. So that's why He says there is no auspicious activity except worship of the Lord, archanam, in this way. So this is the point. Okay, I will just take this one verse and then stop. This is the last verse now. meaning that I'll take. This verse benedictions, they are like, yes, they are quick. You must have seen we are trying to finish in 5-7 minutes like that. That's it. So this verse we will take, and then rest of the verses plus this chapter tomorrow will finish surely, because yes, I do want to complete this tomorrow and also begin the next chapter, which is the talking about the Visarga aspects and all. Or okay, fine, I'll stop here. Maybe just 5 minutes, so we can stop here. I have to announce this thing also, that in this particular unit there were only 8 sessions. There were only 7 sessions instead of 8. Meaning they were means because we had holidays. We have holidays in coming weeks, so we were not able to plan that. So, but actually for the portion, all those 8 sessions are needed. So I think for all of you to come on an extra day is difficult. So I would say that starting from tomorrow, we will just extend half an hour every session. So that way we will get some time. Half an hour, if we extend till 1:30, then I get that extra session which I am missing. Because already this is a vast section with technical details. And in that, if I don't have also all the 8 classes also, then it will be difficult to cover the whole thing. So I would request all of you that please bear for 30 minutes more starting from tomorrow, and we will try to complete this section then. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. Okay, Prabhu. So those of you who wish to leave, you may proceed. Those who have questions and want to stay back can stay back and ask.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Yes,
are you able
Prabhu.
to hear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, this 11th verse, Pranaya say, the Lord manifests. What does it mean? His Lord in his self-same form appears in front of the devotee as per his worship during the lifetime? Because that another verse also, which says, Lord स्थावर जंगम देखी न देखी तार मोती सर्वत्र है निज इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. So that spurti, does that mean spurti means no? Just like spurti, it's just like
inspiration.
One may feel that Lord is there, but Lord actually in his self same form is not there. So that verse as well as this verse, could you please throw some light on this?
Okay, yeah. So actually, this topic is bit debated on whether Lord appears to a devotee in his self same form, or is that he only manifests in his spurti, in his consciousness, right? So there are both opinions actually. One very strong opinion is that, especially in Kali Yuga, Lord doesn't manifest the self same form. But there are references in Shastra that the process of sadhana bhakti, once one achieves the sadhya, bhava and prema, then there is sakshatkara, meaning that actually Lord even manifests that form to that devotee. One is able to see the Lord, one is able to talk with the Lord, one is able to, reciprocate with Him, like that. So that whole idea of whether it is only spurti or actually he manifests the form, So there are a lot of references are there, because I was also sort of researching on this topic, because yes, there are many scholarly devotees who have this opinion that only spurti is possible, especially in Kali Yuga. But there are references that Lord manifests his own personal presence, meaning his Satchidananda Roop is manifested. But Vishwanath Chakravarti clearly says that this will happen only when sadhaka becomes siddha. He says he achieves prema. Without prema, this will not happen. Especially that pranayase, prakrishtena nayase, meaning you prakatitam. That is the meaning which is given by J. Goswami. You bring forth that form in front of that devotee. So that will happen only when he is having siddhi. It will not happen just in the form of sadhaka. Of course, not happen means what? If Krishna wants, he can give darshan to anyone. As in Leela Avatar, he gives his darshan even to a non-devotee when he does Leela. But we are talking about process of sadhana bhakti and achieving siddhi. So process of sadhana bhakti, it will bear its fruit only when in terms of Lord's getting darshan only when one becomes a siddha. That's the meaning of this verse very clearly. It is there in Bhagavad Sandarbha also. That is how it is explained, this particular verse, like that. So while in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ishtadeve Spurti, Sarvatra Hoide Ishtadeve Spurti. So this, it is talking about again a devotee who has love for the Supreme Lord, and it is more generic there in terms of that. Yes, if he has love for the Supreme Lord, everywhere he sees and he is reminded, that acts as a stimulus of Lord for him. He gets that spurti everywhere of Supreme Lord. So both the verses are talking about this aspect that Lord is manifesting in front of devotee. But this particular verse, as far as I understand, and based on the understanding I'm saying in Bhagavad Sandarbha Jiva Goswami, where he says that he manifests that body in front of devotee once he achieves prema. One is able to see that manifest in front of the devotee in his self-same form. Like that, the meaning is given.
So, Siddha means this bhava also, or exclusively prema?
Siddha, he is referring to bhava as well as prema, because bhava is like compared to the ray of the sun of prema. So he says that as soon as bhava appears, Radharani, I mean the what is that definition? Vishuddha Sattva, Samvit and Ladhini, both potencies appear in a devotee's heart. So now that devotee's desire, that devotee's promise, that devotee's every thought Krishna has to take very seriously. He starts reciprocating with it. So if that devotee wishes to see the Lord, hankers for his darshan and all, then Lord is ready to offer that. That starts happening at level of bhava itself. So siddha is typically applied rati for rati bhava also, and also for prema. Both it is considered that yes, now sun has risen only. It's just that you have to see that globe now, sun globe, that way. Okay.
Okay, and this Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti and the Guni Bhuta is understood. Pradhani Bhuta, could you please little explain?
Prabhu, this is explained in Gita commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti. So he says that, see, there are three kinds of bhakti. Kevala bhakti is in which bhakti marked by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam is the most prominent thing. That is what a devotee is, always constantly doing. Of course, he may do other activities which are bodily, that is fine. But his whole focus is on Shravanam, Kirtanam and all. So that is Kevala Bhakti with obviously all those definitions of Uttama Bhakti. So Kevala Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, Nishkama Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, all these are same thing. Okay, not any difference. Pradhani Bhuta, he says, is where you have a particular pradhanta. See, you have pradhanta of bhakti there, Pradhani Bhuta. Bhakti is pradhan, surely, but there is aspect of karma and jnana in it. Like people like Kumaras, they are actually falling in category of Pradhani Bhuta, because along with their bhakti, the aspect of jnana is there in it. If you see Kumara, typically the way they pray and all that, the aspect of jnana in terms of Lord being creator and in connection with all the creational aspects, material world, that whole jnani kind of aspect is always there. So they fall in the category of Pradhani Bhuta, where bhakti is pradhan and that jnana aspect is also there. But bhakti is pradhan, so that's why they get Shantarati, meaning Shantaras. Actually, those who are followers of Pradhani Bhuta, they get Shantarati. That is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's opinion. So in that Pradhani Bhuta, you can have this mixture of jnana also or mixture of karma also. So like he says, it can be karma mishra bhakti or jnana mishra bhakti. Both are known as Pradhani Bhuta. क्योंकि दोनों में भक्ति प्रधान है, and there is element of karma, element of jnana, like that. But again, so that's what, this is not uttama bhakti, because we say jnana karma dhyanabratam in that particular sense. So uttama or kevala is focused on that aspect. But still, these bhaktis are not considered less or contamination or something. If you see Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, Vishwanath very clearly tells, Chakravarti clearly tells that these people also achieve Vaikuntha, spiritual world. Because this contamination is not like that jnana contamination of Nirvishesh Jnana and all that. No. This is a particular jnani kind of nature with which they glorify the Lord. The whole focus is glorification only, but they glorify in that manner. So like that he gives Karma Mishra also as a category. While Gune Bhuta is in which Bhakti is not Pradhan, that particular Guna is Pradhan, meaning Karma is Pradhan and Bhakti is little bit added. So literally it is Bhakti Mishra Karma, while Karma Mishra Bhakti is Pradhani Bhuta, but Bhakti Mishra Karma is Gune Bhuta, because वो गुण का प्राधान्य है उसमें. Guna means that path. Karma's pradhanya is there. So Bhakti Mishra Karma is Gune Bhuta Bhakti. Jnana Mishra, Bhakti Mishra Jnana is also Gune Bhuta Bhakti. But Jnana Mishra Bhakti is Pradhani Bhuta. Karma Mishra Bhakti is Pradhani Bhuta. That's the difference. Like
So Guni Bhuta is nothing to do with the goodness, passion, ignorance. Or it is
Guni Bhuta. No. It's talking about Guna of that particular Marga. Yeah.
karma or jnana.
Yeah, Karma or Jnana.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In this regard, like you just mentioned about Chatushku Maharaj, they are Jnani Bhuta Bhaktas, but like we have a whole yes, Prabhuji? Yeah, Pradhani Bhuta with Jnana thing more prominent. Like they have a tendency to glorify in that way because of their nature. So, we have a whole sampradaya of like there is Kumar sampradaya, and then we see the Kumar sampradaya. They're like they are worshippers of Radharani. They have that mantra of Radha Krishna. So, like it is very pure. It appears.
Yeah, that is true. See, that's what Vishwanath Srila Rup Goswami analyzes Shantaras in his Nectar of Devotion. So, if you see, you don't have to understand whatever is the Pravartak Acharya's mood, that mood is there in the Sampradaya. That idea is not there. When you take a Pravartak, like Kumaras is a Pravartak of Kumar Sampradaya. So you don't have to understand it in a way that Kumara's mood will be prominently there into that Sampradaya. No. Lord chose Kumaras to give the knowledge of that particular aspect in that Sampradaya. That's the whole point. See, Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite, Rup Goswami says, Srimati Radharani is being glorified by Sanak Sanatan, who are the Kumaras. So how is that if they are in Shantarasa, they are glorifying a personality like Srimati Radharani, a supreme embodiment of all Madhurya Rasa. So point is, Kumaras have full knowledge of everything. They are the incarnation of Lord's Jnana Shakti. They understand very well what is Madhurya Bhakti, what is Vatsalya, what is Sakhya, everything. But their own particular attraction is towards Shantarati. So in that Sampradaya, the whole revelation was given by this incarnation of Jnana Shakti called Kumara. And they have given that highest incarnation. Same way, if it would have been, then Brahmaji's mood should have been prominent in our Sampradaya, right? Is that so? Will you take it that way? No, so that's not the point. These are the personalities who are chosen to delineate the particular teaching in that particular Sampradaya. But Kumaras are very well enlightened people. They understand Bhakti principles, highest Madhurya principles also very nicely. But the point is that they have a particular attraction for that Shantarati. So that's why Srila Rup Goswami has described them as prototypes. The perfect examples of Shantarati is Kumaras, he says that in Bhakti Rasamrita.
Was that Shantarati awarded to them because of their offense to the Jai Vijay?
Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that in his commentary, but that is more like he is demonstrating a principle. Actually, Kumaras are Shantarati Bhaktas always. But he says that because they offended Jai Vijay, so from Dasya they came down to, or rather they didn't get Dasya, but they got only Shanta. So that is to demonstrate a principle only actually. That is not like, okay, here were Kumaras and because they did that offense, so they got stuck upon Shanta, Shantarati. No, they eternally have Shantarati only. but he's making a point through that Leela. That's the thing.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay.
I had
Yeah.
like two more questions.
Anyone else has Bhakti Vaibhav, somebody else has any question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Prajit, here
Yeah.
in the one verse it comes that how Lord is the imitator of in this
Correct.
material, but he's just acting like that. So also this Nar Leela or human-like pastime it is told. So I wanted to know that in the spiritual world also, when like the Vrajavasis and all, because they are not seeing, because they're so much in love with the Lord, they may not be seeing Lord as a very extraordinary, like they may be just seeing his own lover, friend. So there also he may be performing like, it's like human-like pastime, like Visakha and that way. So is
Correct.
it not human-like pastime there also there in the spiritual
Oh,
world?
yeah, that is, very true. It is like that.
So
See,
many
human
times,
like, yeah,
why it is like many times told that when Lord comes here, then he's performing Nara Leela or human like sometimes specifically
yeah,
told in terms of when the Lord descends in the material world.
correct. Yeah. So I understand. See, the point here is that Manusha Leela, Krishna's original form is Manusha only. Narakriti Brahma, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur uses that term. Narakriti Brahma. Originally, Krishna is Brahma who is Narakriti, meaning he has a form which is perfectly like human and his activities are like that. But typically speaking, in the context of his Leela, what is expected is he will do something extraordinary. अवतार कार्य मतलब कुछ महान होना चाहिए, कुछ it will be full of Aishwarya and all that. But in Krishna's Leela, he typically doesn't worry about that kind of conception about Avatar Karya. Typically, if you see otherwise Avatar Karyas, they are very, typical, right? Very Aishwaryavan Karyas will be there, full of Aishwarya. Or Krishna takes all these other forms also in which he is doing Vamana activities like Vamana or activities like Meena and all that, which are extraordinarily unbelievable kind of activities. But when he comes to the this world as Manusha Leela, so then he performs activities which are like humans. So it is in the context of an avatar being expected to perform something very supernatural and not like ordinary human beings. But that nature of Krishna is originally like that. He is originally resembles a human form. Rather, humans resemble his form because his form comes first. And humans imitate his activities because his activities come first. So, in order to contrast with typical avatar karya, which is very Aishwaryavan, which is surprising, amazing, Krishna's leelas are said to be Manusha Leela. That's the reason they are said to be like that. But in his originality, he is like that. Yes, he Leela. That's the whole point of Krishna Leela. Krishna wants to tell that, see, my original nature is like this. This is my original pastimes, and this is how I am, like that. Yes, so that is the point. You understand? It is in the sense of being compared to avatars typically who do such activities uh, which are very superhuman. That way. Yes. Getting it right or okay. Fine, whatever. So, any other question from directly from anyone else, or then
Hare Krishna.
I will take, yes,
Yes,
I'll take some.
Hare Krishna. So I just got it. So basically, in this material world, because other incarnations tends to be more prominent, people have that kind of idea more, and Krishna's
Yeah.
pastimes will be quite, guhya. So that way, people may not have that easy approach. So just to keep that contrast, because generally the ideas of that incarnation doing some very big things.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yes, that's the point. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Yes.
Prabhuji,
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, just a quick question. You mentioned about Parashar Upapuran and that particular book. Prabhuji, where is this book available? Is it available in Vrindavan?
Parashar Upapuran?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is available. Yes. So you can check
In
with
Vrindavan?
yeah, you can check with some Hindi bookstore famous in Vrindavan, Khandelwal. It should be there.
Khandelwal. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Someone has said what is anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. So I'm sure most of you are aware of it. Uh, when Lord performs human-like activities, they say that you are ascribing humanness to God. So that is called as anthropomorphism. And when God performs or takes forms such as animals, they say you are ascribing zoomorphism to the Lord. So these two are considered like doshas. These two are considered like imperfections in Vedic philosophy. That you ascribe humanness to the Lord. He is stealing the butter and he is dancing with gopis. What is this? You are being anthropomorphic, they say. Or when Varaha is killing Hiranyaksha, they say you are being zoomorphic, like that. So that is what is. But actually, that's not the point. Point here is Krishna. We are not projecting our ideas on Krishna. Krishna is originally like that, and he is manifesting to our vision. So that is the point. We are not being anthropomorphic. Anthropomorphic means you imagine somebody, God or somebody like that. But we are not imagining. These are the actual pastimes which are manifested in our eyes by the Lord. So that's why Prabhupada says doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism don't apply to Krishna, because he's manifesting what he is. It's no imagination or projection from the worshipper side. It is a revelation from the worshipped side, from the upasya side, like that. So that is the point. What is the difference between Nishkam Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti? Is it the same? Yes, it is the same. Demigods, devotees, who comes to the material world will get affected by material nature. So how devotee and sadhaka and not pure devotee will be aloof from Maya? Will he be affected or not affected slightly also? So that's what the point is, that to the degree he intends in his devotional service, he will not be affected. See, point is actually the whole process of right from Shraddha to Prema, in which this influence is going on reducing, right? In which one is becoming free, more and more free from the contamination of modes and all that. So finally, the last installment of one's contamination in material world is the material body, and that goes away. Then one is ready to go back to the spiritual world, meaning Videha Mukti. So, but if whole contamination is finished in terms of all the aparadhas are over, all kinds of aparadhas, then one is considered to be pure, especially at the level of where anarth nivritti one is crossing, and then further as he goes, when one comes to Jivan Mukta level, that is considered a level one where one is completely free, completely aloof from all the influence of this world. Nikhilasu api avasthasu Jivan Mukta sa uchyate. He is now freed, like a coconut. When coconut is unripe, in the sense it is green, then all that pulp is attached to the shell. But once it becomes dry, then you can see the shell is removed, the pulp is removed from shell, and if you shake like that, gada 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 sound it will make. So same way, Rupa Goswami says, at the Jivan Mukta stage, one is completely freed from all contamination of this world, and he is Jivan Mukta. Now only he has to complete that body thing, certain stay in that body, that is finished, and then one goes back to the spiritual world. That way. So we get affected by material stimuli, then naturally we will not be able to develop prema. Krishna prema means one has to go beyond that stage. But point is, it is gradual process. We don't have to get discouraged. We go slowly. We should see, are we progressing through the stages? Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti. We should know about these stages, and we should see, are they happening in my life? Or is it that it is just some mechanical bhakti is going on that way? So, fine. Finally, Shamlila Prabhu's okay question. Why Krishna appoints such Sakam devotees to position of demigod? Is there any specific reason for this? Yes, because with pure devotees, Krishna just wants to reciprocate. Why would he want pure devotees to rot in the material world? Huh? So with pure devotees, he just wants them to come to spiritual world, and that's it. Or he may want them to take up the preaching or like that. Huh? But point is, material world is not a place of pure devotees, no. So he doesn't assign demigods role to some pure devotees for this reason, because he wants pure devotees to enjoy the nectar of pastimes with him. Hmm? And he puts people like demigods who also have material desires to fulfill certain desire for name, fame, glory, post, position, this, that. And that's why he puts such people, those who have such desires also, and the role is also like that, that way. Sometimes he may put some pure devotee also in that role for some specific reason, like Yamaraj or somebody who is exceptional case for the sake of, some service, some preaching, or to show, demonstrate a certain principle, like how a Vaishnava is happy in any service that Lord has given, whatever. But usually his desire for pure devotees is they are there with him in spiritual world. And who should be running material world are those who are also having such desires for fulfillment. So he brings up these two aspects together, and that's how demigods are offered such posts and positions instead of pure devotees like that.
Prabhuji,
Okay, so that's all.
Prabhuji, just like Lakshmi ji has got Dasya Rasa and four Kumaras have got Shanta Rasa, so do Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also have some mellow of relationship with the Lord Shiva and
Okay.
and Brahma ji?
Yeah. See, especially for Brahmaji, there are references where Brahmaji has a nature of dasya towards the Lord. He accepts him as master. He accepts him as his servant, meaning he accepts him as his master. He has like that. So sometimes, there are verses like he shook hands with the Lord, and based on that, sometimes some comments are made in terms of like that he has kind of friendly relationship and all that. But there are primary references in which Brahmaji is said to be having dasyaras towards the Supreme Lord. About Lord Shiva, specifically, I haven't, nothing comes to my mind saying that, this is his particular, the statement, like at least for Brahma they are there. For Shiva, maybe I can find out, Prabhu, I'm not sure. Shiva, especially Shiva, is put into a different category, which is in Bhakti. It's a different category called Yoga Mishra Bhakti. That category is like Pradhani Bhuta. But that category is referring to the Rudra aspect of Shiva. And while Sadashiva, if you see, all of them, Sadashiva, the original Kailas, that personality, so he is considered non-different from Supreme Lord himself, like that. But then all these incarnations, they are also having the bhav of dasa towards the Supreme Lord. Although Shambhu Tattva and Vishnu Tattva, there is no difference. Diparchireva, what is that? Yah Shambhutamapi, that thing. Not Diparchireva, the other one. Kshiram Yatha Dadhi Vikara Vishesha Yoga. So, but then there are statements in Laghu Bhagavatamrit where each one of the incarnation is also said to be having a nature of dasyata towards the Lord. Any further expansion, like Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anuruddha, to their source, they have a nature of dasyata. So that is a general statement that I have seen for any incarnation also. Although they are Lord's expansion themselves, that way. But about Shiva, about a certain, his constitutional position in terms of rasa, Shiva also always is differentiated in two ways. Remember, Rudras are differentiated in a way, and Sadashiv is seen different. So the way they are analyzed also is different that way. So maybe I can check about this.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
I was asking this question that after the dissolution of each day of Brahma, is that the next day again Brahma comes up and he's in a bewildered state. So, and then he offers prayers. Is it happens every day, or it's like only on a dissolution after his this thing?
Okay. Prabhu, yeah, this topic is coming.
Okay.
In Visarga, we will start, discuss in detail this thing.
Okay.
Yes. So you remember this question. I will take it because it's coming up more in detail in next chapter.
Okay.
Prabhuji, just,
Okay, Prabhu.
just this, our Brahmaji, four Kumaras and Lakshmi, do they have some spiritual counterparts in spiritual world where they perform pastimes with the Lord?
Who?
Like the four Sampradayas, Lakshmiji, Shivji and Brahma and four Kumaras, have they got some spiritual counterpart in spiritual world where they perform pastime in the particular rasa with the Lord?
See, these are the, okay, I mean, three different personalities. See, Kumaras, Brahma is also a living entity. So once their pastime as Brahma is over, they go back to the, Lord's abode. They go back to Vaikuntha, these personalities. And Lakshmi, surely Lakshmi is expansion of the original Lakshmi. So as Lord goes on making expansions like Karnodakshai, Kshirodakshai, Lakshmi also makes her expansion. But she is there as Mahalakshmi in Mahavaikuntha, where there is Lord Narayana. So obviously she is there naturally. She is the chief of all the Lakshmis, Mahalakshmi in Mahavaikuntha. And then her expansions along with Lord's further expansions also come in this material world. For Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma is a pure devotee. And once his reign is over, 50 years are over, 100 years are over, then he goes back to Lord Vishnu, Vaikuntha, and he serves there. He is a jiva, like that. And then Kumaras are also jivas, but they are empowered jivas. They are the personalities who are Jnana Shakti's incarnations. So that's why after their life is, Kumaras typically live for Brahma's life. They also live for entire life of Brahma. Just as Brahma lives for 2 parardhas, Kumaras live for 2 parardhas. Same Narad Muni also. He lives for 2 parardhas. So these personalities, once their leelas are over, so now personality like Narad, okay, he's always there in the material world, and then he also has a form in the spiritual world in which he's serving. But for Brahmaji or Kumaras, that kind of explanation, at least it's not there in Laghu Bhagavatamrita. I have not heard any such explanation. So once their pastime as Brahma is over, then they go back to Vaikuntha. That's the point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just one small question. Prabhuji, like that verse you were quoting from that Gopal Tapni Upanishad regarding that at the end of half my life, I saw. So who is speaking? This is Brahmaji speaking, or is it who is speaking?
It's not Brahmaji speaking. I just forgot the context. I had read this section. I'll let you know, Prabhu. Maybe you just mail me.
Okay.
I have read this.
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll just mail. Prabhuji, and one more.
Verses.
Okay, Prabhuji, I had one more question. Like this, in this shloka, 13 shlokan, there it was told that all these activities of Vedic rituals, charity, these all will not go in vain, right? If it is like with the view to worship the Lord, if it is performed in that way. So, and similar verse like in Bhagavad 2.408 comes Neha Bikram and Aswasti. So that verse refers to like Baldev Vidyabhushan says that it refers to Nishkam Karma Yoga. Yeah, and like if it's applicable for Nishkam Karma Yoga, that means it's applicable for Gyan and above Nishkam Karma Yoga, also other things also is applicable.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that verse is applicable, surely.
Okay.
So yes. So what is the point?
So basically, but generally we glorify this verse saying that bhakti, in whatever we do in bhakti, that is not lost. But then here in this explanation we get to see that even Nishkam Karma Yoga and other things also it is not lost. So
yeah. So fine. So the point there is that once you take to the transcendental path, which is beyond, once you come to the realm of transcendence, then in that transcendental realm, all these paths have that characteristic where any any amount that you have made, progress that you have made, it will stay with you and you will be born after that with that. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has on that verse only very, very systematically he gives argument saying that, but still this verse should exclusively glorify bhakti, and he gives plenty of reasons for that. Because he says that the kind of, so he brings up other aspects there of bhakti.
Yeah,
The help that is, yeah,
yes,
the
please.
help that is offered.
Yes, please continue.
So you got it, right?
You continue, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yeah. So I was saying he brings up other aspects in which he says that the help on Bhakti Yoga that is offered by Supreme Lord, the personal care of Supreme Lord that is there, and all these aspects on Bhakti, how they make the whole path of Bhakti, very, very easy and very beautiful like that. But not only there, he goes ahead and he argues saying that actually Bhakti Neha Bhikrama Nashosti, that should apply only for bhakti, and which is nirguna bhakti, because even the jnana marga is on sattva. He says that is like sattvic, at sattvic level. He's quoting a lot of 11th canto verses over there in that way. So if you see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his opinion is this verse should apply only to bhakti, and he's giving good enough reasons for that. So Prabhupada picked principle, any progress made on paths beyond Nishkam Karma Yoga stays. That's why Krishna is saying even in that section, Athva Yoginam Kule Bhavati Dhimatam. So he's talking about yogis who have made significant progress and have made little progress. One who has made little progress is born into Shuchinam Shrimatam. One who has made great progress is born into Kule Bhavati Dhimatam. And there he's speaking about yogi actually. So now that particular aspect, should somebody may say that okay, only for bhakti we talk about, but no, it's also for yoga, Ashtanga yoga. It's also for other aspects like any path which has crossed beyond the three modes and has gone to transcendental level, that discussion will apply.
Yeah. Prabhuji, and regarding this, I was asked one question, like when Krishna is saying like that there is no loss and diminution. So what is not lost in that path? So what is the answer to this? Because I was not able to answer that time.
Okay. Yeah. So there is no loss means what, Prabhu? There is, if somebody on the path of bhakti has made progress on certain stage of bhakti, if he has gone to the anartha nivrutti stage, so that purity of consciousness is what he is progressed with, right? That faith, that purity of consciousness, that is not lost. So even when somebody begins in the next life, as soon as that covering is removed, at the opportune moment, you see that purity of consciousness, that faith in the Lord is manifested immediately. You see people, right? If they have performed bhakti in prior life, they may come after us in devotional service, but then in no time they become so quickly advanced. How is that happening? Because he is accessing his prior account of purification, attachment for the Lord, that purity of consciousness which he has achieved. If he is already on the level of bhajan kriya and we are on shraddha level, so you will see that his bhajan kriya level of purity is manifesting. So that is not lost.
For devotees, it's clear. Like we already say that if 10% you do, and next life 11%. So that is there. But now, just now we discussed, it applies to other yogis also. So for them, what is not lost?
So that is basically the loss of contamination that has happened from their heart. The progress in terms of their freedom from all the contamination, attachments of this world, and their particular attachment to the Brahman aspect or the aspect of the Paramatma, how much they have progressed in that particular aspect, that is what is not lost.
But then we also see that they, like we generally, Prabhupada quotes that they come back, even if they have got Paramatma, like that realization, Brahman aspect, but then they still come back and do social work and these all things. So
but that is different, na, Prabhuji? That who does Prabhupada talk that for? He does talk that for yo anadrita yushmadangraya. That is a different category. Usually speaking, whenever Prabhupada brings up this discussion that they come back to the material level, that is, he speaks about in connection to yenne ravindaksha vimuktamanina. these people fall from that so-called Brahman level and come to material consciousness. That is what he refers. Is he talking about some general yogi like that? I haven't seen such reference. You have it, you show me.
No, not general yogi, but even if like if he has reached the Brahman platform, like if he's coming to material platform again, that means there is some loss, no? It appears like that. He has reached Brahman platform just
No,
now.
but that is happening with whom? Who is that happening with? Huh?
Like those
Are you getting that? Who is it happening with? You know?
Like even if,
offender.
Yeah,
that's
offender.
the point.
But,
So if he's anadrit yushmadangraya, why will not the loss be there?
Okay, those who are blasphemous, for them it is there, like that.
That's the point. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the point. If it is offender, Prabhu, even from prema one can fall. What to speak of these things? You know, like that. Okay. Clear.
Prabhu, in Aparad, recently we happened to hear. Just last question, and we end.
Okay.
I don't know which Acharya, whether Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it seems he says, if you commit offense, then if you are whatever the state, let's say Nishtha, so you fall back to whatever, maybe Bhajana Kriya or even go down. So in that way you lose bhakti. So could you please explain? Bhakti is lost kind of.
Yes, Prabhu. This is in Madhurya Kadambini. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is quoting this thing. That he says that sometimes if the offense is very severe to some mahats, Krishna may even degrade in the sense he may put that person on not where he was. He may go to a lower level. If that offense is to some very great mahat, pure devotee of the Lord, very severe offense, then he says that Krishna, yes, as you said, that somebody is on that particular level, Krishna may throw him back on even a level below. So actually, offenses are always put into a different category. Offense can literally destroy the bhakti creeper when we say that, right? So that aspect, at least by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini, it is brought forth very clearly, where he says that offense is so deadly that it will destroy bhakti actually. Will it cover bhakti? No, he says it will not just cover, it will destroy bhakti. He says you will lose the advancement that you have made because Krishna is so displeased with that person. So that offense aspect will work in a different way. I mean, even in that case, then there is, yes, you can say some loss is there if that offense is severe. So I remember this Vishwanath Chakravarti says this in Madhurya Kadambini. So maybe I can take that reference also. Yes, like that. But he says that is his reference. So that is the Mahadaparad's danger, no? If somebody does Mahadaparad. Of course, if there is a nice comment by Samarpan Goprabhu that there he also mentions about if they severely fall at the feet. I mean, they take severe course of action and they fall at the feet of Vaishnavas and they sincerely beg forgiveness and then they are accepted back in the service. Yes, he does give example of king and that. So that recourse is always there that yes, if they are forgiven by Vaishnava, then Krishna may accept. But as long as that happens, or if Krishna wants to teach a lesson, then he may take that Mahadaparad so seriously that he may, even person may have to restart from where he had begun, like that. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. So, thank you all very much. We will continue tomorrow. So, from tomorrow, we'll go on till 1:30 and then maybe take some questions. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.